Good evening. I had quite a response earlier to the wee video putting out the alcohol and stuff, you know. Quite a response to that. Interesting, a lot of interesting replies. I noticed a couple of things, but a couple of people completely misread it. You know, at no point is anyone assuming it's as easy as just doing that. The whole point of it was that it was to put across my opinion that one single positive action, one single positive step is the beginning of the beginning. And that's all it takes, is one positive action. Now that positive action might be pouring something out, washing something down the sink, removing somebody's phone number from your phone, removing a negative energy out of your life. You know, someone who is dragging you to the mire and forcing you to drink effectively. So sometimes before you jump on and respond negatively yourself, perhaps read things twice and then say, well, is that actually how that's meant? Because I am not an expert in anything. It's purely my opinion, and it's what's worked for me, and it's my journey. Not everyone's blessed with a strong will. Luckily I have a strong will in abundance, which I'm grateful for. I get that in abundance, but I lack other things at times in my life, which was a bit better judgment. So happy to admit my flaws. Anyway, I appreciate all feedback, good and bad, and that's the name of the game. Social media would be a really boring place, guys, if we all agreed with one another. We wouldn't be posting anything because it would just be crap. You know, it'd just be a load of dogs nodding and yeah. So I like debate, a lot of valid points there. And I hope it spurs one person into maybe doing a bit of positive action and maybe pouring something down the sink or washing something down the pan and moving in the right direction. And if you try, then that's the beginning. And if you fail, dust yourself off and get up and do it again. That's what it's all about. So, yep. Anyway, something in my head for ages bothers me constantly. It bothers me on a daily basis. And it extends throughout your whole life. And everybody suffers from it. And everyone talks about it. And it is forced down our throats and all the rest of it. And it's a constant narrative and all, you know, it's just there everywhere, and that's fear. And when I say fear, what is fear? Fear is an emotion, right? It's a release of endorphins, it's energy, it's adrenaline, it's euphoria, it's all of these things. And as I do this video, I'm going to write some notes because I've got really bad toothache, and I want to remember what I've said. And I hate painkillers, but I took some Brufen and some is it paracetamol maybe, and they don't agree with me. They make me a wee bit misty in the brain anyway. So I'm writing notes, believe it or not. It isn't something I'm known for, because I could misplace anything. So fear. We have been condemned by centuries of misappropriate terminology, in my opinion, in regards to fear. Of what fear is. We've basically been conditioned our entire lives to be fearful. And what I mean by that is we are conditioned to be fearful by every single element in society, in education, in indoctrination. It's everywhere. Conditioned to be fearful, conditioned to be submissive, conditioned to be controllable, conditioned by someone somewhere who wants us to live in fear. Why? Because fear creates control. Fear manipulates and molds and makes you pliable to someone else's agenda, to someone else's wants and needs, and it makes you be fearful of an outcome which may never occur. So you spend your life worrying about something that the odds on will probably never happen. You're living in fear. Most people live in fear. And if you're honest with yourself, you will admit that. And at times in my life, I was fearful. I'm no longer a fearful person. I don't suffer the fear gene because I've exercised it from my life. It's gone. I'm not scared of men. I'm not scared of monsters. I'm not scared of outcomes. I'm not scared of hate. I'm not scared of solitude. I'm not scared of loneliness. I'm not scared of disappointment. I'm not scared of failure. I'm not scared of anything. Why? Because you cannot control the uncontrollable. So why be fearful of it? Simple as that. Worry about what you can control and what you can fix. The uncontrollable is out with your remit. That's when the gods play. The law of averages, faith, fate, all of these things, times, timings, sliding doors, that whole mantra. So don't be fearful of what you cannot fix. Okay, worry about what you can. So when you allow fear to be your master, it will define your outcome. That's what I mean. When you allow it to condition you and manipulate you, it will basically dictate the outcome of your day, your week, your month, your year, your life. Every single thing you do will be dictated by that if you're a fearful person. Now, fear is, when I say it's indoctrinated into you from day one, I mean this. Before you can walk, you have to crawl. And you go near the fireplace. Don't touch that. You go near the wall. Don't, you go near the sink. Don't, you go near the stairs. Don't. Everything's fear, fear, fear. You go to school. Don't talk. Don't laugh. Don't shout. Don't run. Don't, you go into the swimming pool. Don't run. Don't push. Don't shout. Don't duck your mate. Don't. Everything's about fear. It's about don't. Right? Why from day one are we telling kids in a classroom not to talk? The whole point of being a human being is to communicate. So there's something wrong there. But I'm not going to go off on a tangent tonight like I normally do, because I've not been drinking coffee today. I've only had one. It's normally 10 by this time of night. Anyway, fear is everything. It's all around us every day. It's the simple things as well. It's paying the bills. It's worrying that you're keeping up with the Joneses. It's paying for a car. It's putting food in the fridge. It's worrying that your clothes good enough. It's all these conditioning things that peer pressure in society put on us. Everyone's living in fear of something. People are just fearful that they're not good enough, when the reality is you are surviving by your own merit. You are absolutely good enough in every way, shape and form, in every aspect of living. If you're surviving and you're getting there, however mediocre your life appears to you to be, you're doing well. You're doing well. So give yourself more credit and, stop living under the banner of fear. I hate to see people living fearfully. It's not enjoyable to watch. And there was times in my life where I was fearful of things I didn't understand. But through years of training and putting your neck in the line and testing yourself and stepping out your comfort zones, you learn that it is an absolute gimmick. And there's a lot of lies being told around fear, around the whole control aspect of it. Fear is allowing the negative to overshadow the positive. That's a big thing. When you continually distort things in your own head because you worry about them going wrong, when they're probably fairly simple, everyday things that everyone else may or may not be doing, and you've blown it all out of proportion to the point where it's uncontrollable, and you're like, oh, this is grew arms and legs. Something as simple as organising a kids' party or your own party or a family gathering, and you've let it run away instead of actually relaxing and enjoying the event, which was the whole purpose of organising it. You've become fearful of it. You've lost control. Fear is the absolute confusion of not knowing the outcome of any situation. You can't know the outcome until you complete the task. So why are you worrying about it? Again, it's all back to front, guys. You need to turn it on its head. We all begin. The beginning is fear and the end is understanding. Everyone starts with fear. And they're terrified of, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, you know. I need to get on a flight, I need to, you know, go in an underground tunnel, I need to... And there's all of these things. And really, you come out the other end and you're like, is that it? I've just done that and it was so easy. And how long did you spend terrified of it? Because you'd never learning to control it. You can't know you're being fearful until you admit it to yourself. And what I mean by that is, I need to put this right. If you're somebody that every single thing in your average daily life creates anxiety, you are truly under the umbrella of fear. And that's not, you don't need to live there. There are things you can do. You really don't need to live there. And we'll get to that as well. This is an introduction to it. This is going to be in 4 or 5 parts because this is a huge topic. It's something I'm very passionate about, which is about helping anyone overcome fear. I'll talk about some of the things that dictated my life early on and how I overcame them as well. So you may be surprised by some of the things that I'm going to talk about. Basically, mindset can be improved. You can retrain your brain. You can turn off all the exhausting stuff. You can ignore everything that suffocates you and closes you down. You know, you can open up other avenues to negative thought, and you can learn quickly about conditioning yourself to adapt to situations. And they may be things that you might never truly overcome, but you can adapt to dealing with them. And this is about controlling the controllable. Forget the uncontrollable. If it's out with what you can master and what you can dictate the outcome of, it falls under the uncontrollable. So why fear it? You have to let the journey take its course. Okay? You can't change the direction of the wind just because you don't want it, you know, blowing your washing off the line. It's going to do what it's going to do. All the thought in the world's not going to change the direction of the wind. So why stress about it? People turn the smallest things into the most monumental issues when they really don't have to. It's anxiety. It's all the same machine. All of it. Anxiety, fear. You know, you're basically, you're putting yourself, you're oppressing yourself, you are subduing yourself, and you're reducing yourself to a lesser version of who you can be because you don't understand the things that are round about you, which you can fix with mindset. Fear's a difficult thing to... Everybody's fears are different. So, again, it's a massive, massive subject. And when I speak to people and they say, oh, when you did that, how did you do it? And everybody asks me the same questions, right? This is where I'm going with this. Every single person that speaks to me or contacts me or messages me over YouTube or whatever it is, they say, they want to ask you a question about something you've did, and they go, well, you're not scared? And I say, I wanted to do it. If I was scared, I wouldn't have done it. I like to test myself. What I mean by that is, why is everyone's first question, were you not scared? The reason is because it's indoctrinated from birth. We are taught to be fearful because it keeps us under control. And you know, you need to start telling yourself that you will, telling yourself that you can, and telling yourself that you can absolutely overcome your anxieties and your fears. I believe everybody can. I truly believe it. There's amazing people out there. I follow some of them. they're making the tools more available to us all the time, from the very basic physiological things that we do every day, which is breathing and living. If we can learn to do them correctly, and 99% of us actually breathe wrongly. We just breathe to live. But if we actually learn how to breathe properly, and you'll know that I'm talking about Mr. Wim Hof, the Wim Hof method. If you don't know who he is, Google him, get on YouTube and do it. It will probably change your life, even though you may not believe it initially. If you practice it and you learn to understand it and actually understand what it is you're doing and why you're doing it, physiologically you can change your body and the way it adapts to atmospheric changes, things that occur through fear, through being out of your comfort zone. Crazy stuff. The body is an incredible thing. The mind is even more incredible. It's capable of all sorts. Luckily, I've got a bit of clarity in my head, and I'm able to explore things the way I like to, the way I want to, on my own terms, and test myself and grow and develop my brain, you know, or what's left of it, what's not been bashed out over the years. So, yep, fear is pain, right? And a fear of pain. Fear is pain, and it's a fear of pain. It's a fear of discomfort. It's a fear of something happening. And yet you can be 20, 30, 40, having never broke a bone, and yet you're still terrified of breaking a bone. But the chances are so remote that you're going to break a bone, and yet you've spent 30 years worrying about it. Something as simple as that, a fear of the dentist. You know, 100 million people go to the dentist every year, and no one dies. And you're terrified of the dentist. Everything can be overcome with practice and understanding. Again, we won't talk about anything that doesn't come under fear, because as people we're fearful. Stories from your childhood, monsters, the dark. Why is it that every single horror film ever made in the history of mankind is filmed in the dark? Because see, if they were filmed on a bright sunny day, they wouldn't work. Fear sells. The darkness sells. The darkness creates the ambience, it creates the fear. The darkness terrifies. Why? Because we are scared. What we think we're scared of is the dark, but we're not. We're scared of our own imaginations. It's what we imagine to be out there in the dark. And I'm currently sitting in one of the darkest places in Scotland just now. And, you know, it's an extremely remote area, and there's no help anywhere near me. And if there is monsters and vampires out there and werewolves and stuff like that, well, they'd be as well avoiding me tonight, because they might get more than they're bargained for, because I understand them. And, you know, like the Scooby-Doo, when you take the mask off and it's the old school janitor, it's never really a true monster, is it? It's all just lies. And that's what fear is. Fear is basically one big lie, because they play on your emotions, and that's what it's always been about. It's about playing you out with your comfort zone. Someone somewhere wants you to live in fear. They want to keep you on the fear drip your entire life, because you're easily controlled. And that's a fact. Anyway, so in my opinion, fear is a con, right? It's a bit of a sleight of hand. Not everyone's going to agree with me, and I don't want that. I like debate, and I like people to, you know, question me and call me out and stuff. I'm fine with it. Because if you don't like what I say and it doesn't really appeal to you, you just have to unfollow. It's dead easy. There's loads of people on Facebook worth following. So, you know, you don't need to listen to me. And if you do, thank you. But you won't agree with everything I say, and that's what makes it interesting. You need to learn to put it in its place, right? We're going to work on this over the next... Again, this is going to be a few parts to this, because I can't do all this in one video. It would take me hours. If you work at it, you will overcome it. It will take you time, but you will master it, I believe. And I think it's within all of us to live without fear. I think that if we all work as a collective and we educate one another and we follow the right people and we follow the right mantra and we follow those that are succeeding, we can all learn, as long as we want to, how to overcome the things that control us and terrify us the most. There's so many steps we can take, but we all have to start at the beginning, and that is where I started, and it's where I am now miles from in my own journey. I put myself into, I don't post everything that I do, and I don't post everywhere I go, because I don't want to saturate it, but also a lot of the things I do are very private, very personal testing environments. And, you know, like walking on a cliff edge or a ridgeline, or walking through a very dark forest at ground level on a really windy, stormy night, when all your senses are super aware and they are super magnified, and you think that you hear stuff, you think that you hear footsteps, you think that you hear monsters, and you start to imagine, and you start to get overridden with anxieties like, did I just hear footsteps, or did I hear a branch breaking, or what was that? Did I see a light there? Did I see a set of eyes? Because films of, you know, they show you a wolf's eyes or a vampire, right? And it's very, very easy to fall into the trap when you're out very, very far from places, you know. I find roads, right? I find roads, like remote roads, at times very eerie, and I don't know why. Because they're just at times of the night, they're long, vast, empty areas of nothing when there's no traffic on them. And yet, it's a road. But it creates an energy, you know, it creates a something in my mind. I also look at water at night, dark water. And sometimes I find dark water eerie. But in the same breath, I could say, looking up to a range of mountains in the dark, and you see the black mass of them, and you can't judge the distance at night time, because they could be, the base of the mountain could be 200 metres away, it could be 2 miles away, but its mass is so great that it's distorted, and there's something fearful about it, because you're looking at it and it's overwhelming, it's jet black, you can't actually see the contours and the terrains. So your mind starts to create things and runs away, and you think that you've seen something, or something's moved, or you're saying to yourself, is that closer or is it further away? Or you're looking onto dark ground and you think, was there a big hole there, or is there a river, could I fall into it? That's the mind. It's the imagination that's scaring you. There's nothing out there to be fearful of. Nothing at all. We know in life that monsters don't exist. We know that monsters come in the shape of men and women. That's how they come. And we know that, and yet we still fear monsters. But we know they're not real. The monsters walk among us every day. So fear's a funny old thing. And it's got no place in my life. It just doesn't wash with me anymore. Because I've been in hell. And I've seen what goes on there, and I came out of it. And most people, thankfully, if they get things right and they get the right, you know, the right karma going on and the right team round about them, they too will come out of it. So fear is not something that you should continue to allow to control your life. I'll talk more in the next 3 or 4 videos. I don't know, I'll need to have a think about that, and I'll need to make it interesting as well, because I would like to show you me doing something out with my comfort zone, and I've got a couple of ideas in my head. And these are things that I don't have to do. They are things that I will do in order to show you how to overcome something that you might love to try, or you might just go, that looks horrific. Why would you do that? When the reality is that discomfort is temporary, and pain is usually temporary, and they pass. So the event is never really much more than minutes long, or an hour long, or the big fear of running a marathon. Yeah, you're going to be in torturous pain for 3 or 4 hours, but for the rest of your life you'll be able to say you did it. So it's worth it sometimes. But that's the subject matter for this week: fear, and how to overcome it, and how you can help yourself and how you can help those around you. Because if you have people around you that you care about, then surely you won't want them to be living in fear. Worth thinking about, eh? Anyway, there we go. That is the subject for this video and the next few videos for the next few days. So I have to get my thinking cap on, and I have to come up with something that will intrigue you enough to watch it and share it. And I've got some good ideas up my sleeve. So, but no sleight of hand, no magic, just the reality, which is usually a lot more boring than what you imagine it to be.